Today we'll be working in my workbook called The Family of Abraham, and it covers Genesis 19:30 through chapters 25:18. And we have already done the first three chapters, where the first chapter where Lot and his daughters leave Sodom and Gomorrah and live up in the mountains. Second chapter where Abraham passes his wife off as his sister, and when Abimelech gets cursed by it for a while. And then three, when Isaac is born, is the tale of Ishmael and Isaac and Ishmael being finally sent off with Hagar to become a nation of his own. So now we're in chapter 4, the well of Beersheba. Let's see if we can find that here. The well of Beersheba, Genesis 21, 22, and 34. So Genesis 21:22. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me in the country where you are now reside, as a foreigner, the same kindness I have shown to you. And Abraham said, I'll swear it. So Abimelech is hoping that Abraham won't attack you. Because remember, Abraham actually has lots of possessions and people with him. We meet Abimelech before in Genesis 20, 1 through 18. What happened in that story? In that story, Abimelech takes Sarah to be part of his harem, and then he got cursed by it, and he gave Sarah back to Abraham without having touched her. Who did Abimelech bring with him to talk to Abraham? His commander of his forces, Phicol, or Fickle, probably Fickle. We know nothing more about Fickle than what is written here. What did Abimelech notice about Abraham? God is with him in everything he does. What did Abimelech want from Abraham? A oath that he would not attack him, that he had shown them the same kindness that he had shown back. And so of course, Abraham said he would. Now, Genesis 21:25. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. But Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today. What did Abraham complain to Abimelech about? The well of water that the Abimelech's servants had seized. Note below what the Bible scholar Barnes writes about wells in this area. Are wells important? Barnes writes, wells were extremely valuable in Palestine on account of the long absence of rain between the latter or vernal rain ending in March and the early or autumnal rains beginning in November. The digging of a well was therefore a matter of the greatest moment and often gave a certain title to adjacent fields. So if you had a well, you were entitled to the fields around the well. What would a well be used for in Abraham's case? For water, of course, for water of his flocks, his possessions, and the land around it. Did Abimelech know that the well had been seized by his servants? Nope. Here we only talk of one well, but according to Genesis 26:15 below, did Abraham's servants dig more than one well? Genesis 26:15. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. Yes, he had several wells, actually. Do you think Abimelech is going to return the ownership of the well to Abraham? I believe so. Why? Because he's trying to keep peace with a man who's blessed by God and has great possessions. Okay. The scriptures continue. Genesis 21:27. So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs for the flock, and Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves? And Abraham replied, accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well. Did the two men make a peace treaty? Yes. What did Abraham give to solidify the peace treaty? 7 ewe lambs. What did Abraham set aside while Abimelech was watching, um, he had set aside these ewe lambs. Why is Abraham going to give Abimelech the 7 ewe lambs? As a witness that he did indeed dig the well. How would giving lambs be a witness that Abraham dug the well? I have no idea. Just like some of the negotiations here don't make a lot of sense, but maybe a sacrifice of his possessions. I don't know. Even though Abraham did not possess the land, yet a well was a different matter. According to Barnes from the previous page, if a well was dug, who owned the adjacent land? The person who dug the well owned the adjacent land. So Genesis 21:31. So that place was called Beersheba because the two men swore an oath there. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. So from Gerar, he goes to Beersheba, which is where that land is, and the tamarisk tree and Abraham's well. Beersheba means the well of oath or the well of 7, both meaning the same thing here. Why was the place called Beersheba? It's where the treaty was made. The city of Beersheba still exists today in the land of Israel. It is the largest city in the Negev desert of southern Israel. Where did Abimelech and Phicol return to after making this agreement? Back to Gerar. Philistines are a people. Philistia is a place. Circle that on the map. Right. Okay. So I'll take a little circle and quit. Well, how does this work? You know what I mean. Okay, so, all right. Well, let's see what we can do here. Somewhere there. Okay, good. Shape fill, no fill. There you go. That works. What did Abraham plant in Beersheba? He planted a tamarisk tree. So now we come to the end of this chapter. And so it's called The Well of Beersheba. And let's see if we can do the crossword. After the treaty had been made, Abimelech and Phicol returned to the land of the Philistines. Number 5, Abraham complained to Abimelech of a well that was seized by Abimelech's servants. Number 6, how many ewe lambs were set aside for Abimelech? 7. Number 7, Abraham brought sheep and cattle to Abimelech for the treaty. Number 1 down, what kind of tree did Abraham plant in Beersheba? Tamarisk tree. Number 2, who's the commander of Abimelech's forces? Phicol. Number 3, what was the place called where they made the treaty? Beersheba. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.